Who Dey to all those who celebrate, and a very Merry Christmas as Gridiron Jungle is dropping on a holiday for the first time ever. I'm not here by myself. Obviously, I'm only one half of this thing. I am here with my brother Philly Phil. Phil,
Yes,
first and
sir.
foremost, Merry Christmas. I don't know if did I say Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Merry
I meant
Christmas
I
it
don't know if
is.
I said Merry. Listen,
Oh, you
we're
said Merry Christmas. You just,
my
you know what
bad.
I'm saying? It just ain't flow, how it would
Yeah, man.
normally
Listen,
flow from an eloquent person like yourself.
it's been a long few days, man. Phil is partly to blame for that, man. Phil's had me on the run for like 72 hours, man. Hanging out with Phil is not an easy task, man. He's used to it because he got the girls and he always on the move. Me, I kind of move and I can pick my spots to chill. Ain't no chilling. Like it's been a long time, but here we are. Maybe 90 minutes before Santa comes through your chimney.
Yes,
Phil and
sir.
myself are recording right after Hard Knocks to bring you another episode. Thank you as always for joining us. And we're in the thick of things. We're going to be discussing Week 16, the victory over the Browns with that season sweep, and also the latest Hard Knocks episode, along with crunch time. 2 weeks left in the season. We know what it
Right.
takes at this point for the Bengals to make the playoffs. We'll recap this, but first and foremost, like I said earlier, thank you for joining us. Hopefully, everyone is celebrating the time with their family, the holiday time. I know not everybody celebrates the holidays in that way, so anybody who might be going through anything or grieving, holidays might not be the same as they were in the years past. We're thinking about you. Love to all of you, and we appreciate you for tuning in.
And real
Before
quick, I'll just say happy holidays just for those that don't celebrate Christmas specifically. Just happy
Yeah,
holidays in general.
no doubt, man. Because not we like we said, not everybody celebrates Christmas. But hopefully everybody's having a good time with their family today, this morning. Before we get started, Phil, as always, we want to go to the comment sections. We did have First Family Productions 3672 leave a comment on our Titans video, pretty much just saying we definitely need to focus on the win. Y'all are correct. Tanking builds bad habits. We appreciate you agreeing with that. Yeah, that's just not a good way to kind of roll over into the season. He also or they, I'm not sure if this is a man, woman, I'm not sure, but they also mentioned if we make the playoffs, and we're going to ask you this, Phil, you can answer first. If we make the playoffs, do we still fire the defensive coordinator and head coach, not including winning the Super Bowl? And also, what players should Bengals be looking at in the draft? Which is funny because Phil and myself were literally just having that conversation on Monday. So, Phil, if we make the playoffs, do the Bengals um, fire Lou and Zach Taylor? And we kind of touched on this a little bit last week, but still want to hear your thoughts on it. And even if we don't make the playoffs, do you still think we're going to get rid of them?
For sure. I mean, I've been on record many a time saying I want Zach gone. I mean, I don't foresee Zach being gone regardless of the outcome, whether we make the playoffs or we don't. I do think Lou is more of a question. I think it would be difficult to, you know, not, you know, him. It would definitely strengthen his case if this defense continue to play as it has. Although the Bengals haven't beaten the QB1 all season long. I think that does play a part when you look at who the defense has had success against. So my answer would be no. In,
You
in short,
disrespecting
in
you
short,
disrespecting Daniel Jones like that?
whatever you want to call him.
who is now currently a QB 3
QB
or 4.
four.
They got like 5 quarterbacks on that Vikings roster, so it is what it is. So you're saying no, they're still sticking around. I agree, they're still sticking around regardless of what happens. Make the playoffs, don't make the playoffs. I think they found a way. I just don't see them. Sort of like that comment just mentioned, like tanking builds bad habits.
For
Well, I think
sure.
a lot of teams look at the momentum they're having. That's why you're hearing Mike McCarthy's name in
Hmm.
Dallas being mentioned for a contract extension, or talks have been had. We've mentioned, well, we haven't really mentioned. We mentioned outside of the podcast, just in regular conversation, that it wouldn't be surprising if Mike McCarthy stays in Dallas.
Yeah, I don't foresee him going anywhere, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. So there are a lot of coaches who are going to be jobless once Black Monday hits, but we're not at that point yet. And I don't think Zach is going to be one of those coaches, especially with this last minute run and especially with the offensive stats. As long as you have some hope, in my opinion, if you have hope or something to look into or looking to build on for the next year, I think most of your coaching staff is going to be okay, especially when you are working for an organization like the Cincinnati Bengals. As far as draft what players should we draft? We've talked about this ad nauseum off the record. So, Phil,
For
go ahead
sure.
and give some of your positions of need and what you would love to see us do in this first round, which might be anywhere between, um, I'd say, 18 or
I think
16 or
right now
so. And
near. I think right.
well, I'm
Yeah,
I'm
that
calculating for
would
when
make
we make the
sense.
playoffs. I'm calculating
Right,
for when we
right,
make the
right,
playoffs.
right.
So
For
yeah,
sure.
16, pick number 16. Could be a little bit earlier than that, but we're talking about mid-teen. So who would you like? Not specifically what player, but what positions do you want us to attack if we are drafting that early?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely would. I mean, I would love to see an edge defender, whether that's a defensive end or a rush linebacker. Would love to see us continue to add to the defensive interior, really just the defensive line in general. Definitely need a lot of help there, in my opinion. Um, Depending upon how it shakes, cornerback is still a really big need for for this defense and for this team, and I think need two new guards. So obviously, you're not going to be looking at a guard in the first round, I don't think, but maybe there is a future tackle that you see that starts out a guard and projects to a tackle, maybe. But I just really think it depends on the Bengals board, and as we get closer to that, we'll definitely, at least I will. I know I'll look at a lot of film and we'll talk draft, and I'll have some favorites, and we'll see how they pan out. And I think it'll be a lot of fun to track. But definitely have to strengthen that defensive line, the trenches in general. That offensive line needs help. Corner for sure, corner. And I think we may need another linebacker this draft. I like to see another running back added. Chase Brown has been awesome. You only have 1 year left with Zach Moss. I'm cool on Travion Williams. So definitely would like to see another running back added to the mix as well. I really like this year's running back class. So be interesting to see how the draft shakes out. What say you?
I agree with everything you said. Definitely something on the defensive line, whether it's interior or edge rush. I just think we need to bulk up that defensive line. I have been impressed with what Chris Jenkins brings. Um, I don't know if we got enough of a full season to really get a gauge. And obviously, it's an NFL, so it takes a little while, unless you're an absolute stud, to kind of see exactly what kind of your role you're going to be. And what I mean by that is, are you going to be a three down, three technique, or are you going to be someone we rotate in? I would love just to bulk up our defensive line in general, just to have a better rotation. I think a lot
Hmm.
of just generationally, the best defensive lines have a solid rotation. You look at the Rams team that beat us in the Super Bowl, and just kind of how they were able to keep fresh. Now, that's obviously a very, I don't want to say once in a lifetime, but that's a very rare occasion where you have a GM that just doesn't care about draft picks, just loaded up. And they won because they got what they wanted. When you do something like that, you have to win, otherwise it looks bad. And they won. Sorry, Bengals fans, for bringing that up. So D line would obviously be a key point. Corner and safety, I think we need both. My thing with that is it gets tricky, right? I don't want to be in a position where we're drafting one of them because we need one of them. Like if the best player
Right.
available at that spot is not a corner or a safety and can fill another need. So yes, maybe we don't need a linebacker as bad, but if there's a good linebacker that's there at that spot and he's on the draft board ahead of a safety or a corner, let's take that
Hmm.
linebacker because I agree with you. I think we do have a little bit of a old school linebacker room.
Hmm.
With where the game is going, I would love to see a little bit more youth. We talked about GP's contract. Logan Wilson, I can't remember where he is. I know he's not due anytime soon. We just extended him maybe last year or the year
Hmm.
before. But I would like to see a little extra piece. Akeem, as great as he is on special teams, he's a captain of this team. he looks like a special teams player when he's out there playing
For sure.
linebacker full time. I mean, that's just
For
it. Just
sure.
is what it is. I say that respectfully. And then offensive line. I listen. If you ever ask me about draft, I'm always going to tell you offensive line, defensive line. You just can't have enough of them. You can't have enough good elite players. You know, just superhumans that move at a certain rate. So I'm always going to be down for that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything else is a luxury. I know we drafted wide receivers. I'm always going to say best option available, but it's got to be a real good player. Like if we take another receiver in the first round, I mean, it's got to be. I don't even know what receivers in the draft right now. They're not going to fall to us, so it doesn't really matter. We're not spending the first round on a quarterback or a running back. So yeah, I think those spots really fill up the hole for us.
Now, Luther Burden or Emeka Buka could be there, but I don't
We're
expect the
not.
Bengals to take a receiver first round because I expect us to re-sign both T and Jamar. So
I would be surprised if Luther was there. Ibuka's interesting, but we wouldn't take him. Like that's not a. I would be down for it if we didn't take Burton last year.
For sure.
But we got too many holes on defense. Like we can't have another year like this on defense. We just can't.
Exactly. I wouldn't even be opposed to moving back a couple spots and getting the extra pick or two if you can. So
yeah, it's not just about the picks. It's about hitting on them. So
absolutely,
that's what it really comes down to. But we got some stuff cooking. But it's gonna take a lot of soul searching in the offseason. Especially if, as we mentioned, if Lou is gonna be back. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm not in the rooms, as we say every week. I don't know how accountable. I don't know how much Zach is coaching his coaches. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know.
I mean,
sometimes it's hard because
I haven't seen it on Hard Knocks. You know what I mean?
Haven't seen it now. I will say because tonight's episode of Hard Knocks, there was a scene where, and I can't think of his name, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, excuse me. Harbaugh was in his meeting, his defensive meeting. Yes, Zach Orr. Is it Zach Orr?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Harbaugh was in the back of his meeting and chimed in when needed, but that's coaching your coaches. I don't have to control this meeting. You do your thing. I trust you to run the defense, but I'm going to give my 2 cents as a head coach, and I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page as far as what the game plan is this week. To Zach's credit, I haven't really seen too many coordinator meetings. I've seen some position group meetings on Hard Knocks, but I don't know if I've seen any full-blown coordinator. Maybe he is in there. I'm not 100% sure. I'd imagine he would be, even if I don't know how much impact he is as far as he's having as far as actually coaching the coaches. Once again, not saying that's a fact. I just haven't seen it, and it wouldn't surprise me if that's the case, just based on Zach's overall temperament and personality. So once again, we got to hit on these, and we got to really make sure we're on the same page going into the next season because we shouldn't be fighting and scraping like this. We should already be secured or getting ready to lock in a playoff spot and not need so much help to get better. So
for sure,
it is what it is on that point. But you and I were at Paycor for the game this past Sunday.
Yes,
Once
sir.
again, we mentioned division rivalry. Phil and myself got to see Cleveland versus Cincinnati in person together twice this year at Cleveland when we got that win. And obviously this one, the Bengals come up with a 24-6 win to move to 7-8 on the season. Philly, what was your overall thoughts on the game?
Yes, sir. First sweep of the Browns since 2017. Just got to shout that out real quick. But overall thoughts, overall takeaways, man. Joe with another, I'm going to still try to speak it into existence. Whether he wins it or not, he made another MVP-like series of plays, another MVP-like performance. Super Joe, as I'll call him, T's going to call him Superman. I'm going to call him Superman, 23 for 30, 252, 3 touchdowns. So he did it for 7th straight game, having 3 TD passes. Only Marino, Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady have had more. So hopefully he can keep that going this next game, keep that streak alive. Jamar breaks his own single season franchise receiving record. So that was really cool to be there and witness that. And Cade York tied the franchise long field goal record with a 59-yard field goal that just, snuck its way in. So it was cool to be there and witness history, man. So overall, a historic game and what I hope to be a historic run to the finish line.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to explain. I guess let me start by saying this, right? If you've been listening to us all season, you know how my temperament has changed throughout. And what I mean by that is, obviously, you start the season strong, and you still, even when you 0-3 going into Carolina, all right, this is the week we get a win. And then you start dropping games you shouldn't drop, games you're ahead of by 10 points. And midway through, I just kind of emotionally took myself out of the equation. Said over and over, like, I'm still going to watch the game, still supporting the whole nine. I'm still going to go. But emotionally, I'm not going to get tied into this. I've even made comments about how it was easier to be a fan of the Marvin, Dalton, AJ Green era, even the Marvin, Carson, Ocho era, where you just knew you were good enough to make the playoffs, and that's good enough. Like, we never had real Super Bowl aspirations. Maybe we can get in, and who knows what happens from there. But it was just easier because you didn't have these expectations, and now this team is starting to look, at least offensively, they're starting to look like the best team. They're looking scary. I got to give the defense some props because we've said it, and I've said this specifically on this podcast. Lou's defense was created to, hey, get what you need to in between the 20s. And when you get to that red zone, we're shutting things down. You look at this game, Jerome Ford has a huge run.
Yep.
Looks like they're driving the first possession. I know we've been a little hard on him this year, but Von Bell comes in, punches that ball out.
Big time
clear
play.
Fumble, big time fumble recovery, and then we shut them out the first half. So it goes from their first drive, them being up 7-0 to I think 17-0 at halftime.
Yep.
And us coming down and scoring off of that play and really answering the right way. So that's what we need, and that's what when you go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you get in the red zone, you make those plays. And then offense does what they need to do. And they're starting to come around to that kind of team, which is why they're scary out, which is why when we talk about the paths to the playoffs, this Steelers game against the Chiefs tomorrow or today when you're listening on Christmas is so big. We need the Steelers to beat the Chiefs because the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken, haven't locked up the number 1 seed, right?
Nope.
Okay.
If they win, this would lock it up. So
which means that because why in the world would the Chiefs want to help the Bengals make the playoffs when the Bengals have been their kryptonite the past few years? And that's real. Right. So if week 18 and you already locked up what you need to lock up, you have nothing to gain outside of people maybe getting some incentives for those bonuses. Like, you sitting all your key players, and Pat's not healthy, so you sitting all your key players against the Broncos. So yeah, we need the Steelers to go ahead and take care of business, and then obviously we need to go and take care of business in Pittsburgh. But before we even get to all of that, we need to make sure we take care of business this upcoming week, and we'll talk about the Browns game. But you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that was just for that game to open that way with that 66-yard run, and that was ruled a touchdown later on in that drive where Von had the fumble that you talked about. For that to go from Cleveland going up a score to us driving 99 yards down the field and going up 7-0, being up, that just a team that already didn't have anything to play for. Like, I can't imagine how demoralizing that was for Cleveland. So
yeah.
I mean, shout out to the defense, like you said, for just stepping up and making that play. And shout out to Cam Taylor-Britt for not giving up on that play and dragging down Jerome Ford at, I think, like the 11-yard line or wherever it was. He made that play because there were definitely some opportunities for others to make tackles way before then. So shout out to Cam for not giving up on that play. And, that really set the tone. So
that's real, man. And as I'm talking about, as I'm sitting here talking about just the team and how we look and just the way the defense are playing, really what it is, you can tell, maybe I'm crazy, I don't know. It feels like we're going to make the playoffs. Like, it just feels that way. Obviously, we could be wrong. The odds aren't in our favor, but it just feels that way. I feel like the players are playing that way. And it feels like they're playing for more than pride right now. They're playing for a playoff spot because it's still in our destiny. So, yeah, I couldn't say enough good things. It's not the cleanest game, but I will say this, and I said this a couple weeks ago. At this point, ugly, pretty, whatever. As long as we win games this time of the year, then I'm good with that. It's December football, and I'm just happy that we're winning the games we should be winning. That was a big problem for us at the beginning of this year. And man, we'll see how things shake out. But man, week 1 is going to be something that might haunt me for quite some time, based on how everything finishes out. You mentioned it, man. Joe, 7 straight games, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. Finished with 252 on Sunday, 23 of 30, ultra efficient. Chase Brown, 18 carries, 91 yards. He's still doing his thing, over 5 yards a pop. Phil, I don't know if it was last week or the week before. We talked about Jamar Chase in that end around. He got another one this game, 1 carry for 7 yards, which I'll take 7 yards a carry every single time. And then, of course, continuing on with the Triple Crown season, 6 catches, 97 yards on 8 targets, and a late touchdown. T added 8 receptions for 58 yards in the touchdown, and Yoshi had 3 receptions, 53 yards in the touchdown. Man, Jordan Battle with an interception, Geno Stone with an interception, Joseph Asai with the sack, Trey Hendrickson with the sack, Chris Jenkins with 2 sacks, if I'm not mistaken, this game. Once again, really liking Chris Jenkins. I'm really liking him. McKinley Jackson, he had a sack. So we were really out here this entire game and took advantage. And we knew this team wasn't better than us. Any factor of the game, starting DTR, which we played in week whatever. He didn't start, but we did play against him. So we took care of business, and that's the most thing I'm happy about. I don't really have a ton else to say about the game per se. I mean, we took care of what we needed to.
Absolutely. And while you were on stats, I just want to piggyback on a few things that you touched on. You mentioned the Triple Crown. You know, as far as the Triple Crown watch goes, Jamar still leads in all 3 categories. He's up to 108 catches on the season, so he still leads by 7 there, ahead of both Amon St. Brown and Brock Bowers, who both have 1-on-1. He's got 1,510 receiving yards on the season now, 123 ahead of Justin Jefferson, who's behind him. And he's got a 4-touchdown lead. He's got 16 touchdowns now. Terry McLaurin's next with 12. So just to give the people an update there as far as that Triple Crown watch goes there. Chase Brown did tie the franchise record for the consecutive 100+ yard scrimmage game. So he's got 5 straight. So maybe he can set the record here with this game against Denver that we've got on Saturday. You talked about Geno Stone with the interception. That's 3 straight games with an interception. One of those being a pick 6. Man, we always talk about the 5'9" giant, Mike Hilton. You know, 2 big tackles for loss this game. That's actually 5 over the last 2 weeks. And he's tied for 15th in the NFL with 12 tackles for loss this season. All other 14 players either play edge rusher or D-line. Like that's insane. That's insane. So
Mike a different dude, man. He built different.
Shout out to Mike Hilton. I just wanted to touch on those things while we were in that stats, you know, because like you said, man, nothing we really need to talk about with this game. You know, never really felt threatened. There were some moments where, you know, Cleveland tried to do some things. The opening, also that drive, it was 17-6, and we ended up getting the interception to kind of, you know, change things there. So
also, I'm sorry, you got other things?
I was gonna say, all in all, that was really all I had.
I'm about to say, game. Even with the game, even with Hard Knocks, like it was cool to kind of get that behind the scenes stuff between both divisional games.
Right.
Obviously, if you watch the episode, half of it was split on Bengals Browns, and then the latter was split on what a lot of people call the greatest rivalry in football, which is the Steelers and Ravens. Not a ton really there not a lot of quotables or sound bites or anything like that. Obviously, it's Christmas time in the city, so it is cool being able to see the lead up to the game. Yeah. There's nothing really that significant. Next week is going to be, it's kind of like, I wish we could see it in real time. Yeah. This is such a big game, you know, and really depending on how Saturday goes, which I strongly believe we're going to win, that's going to change the outlook of how you want to watch the game on Tuesday.
For sure.
But I truly believe that we're getting We're hitting our stride right now as a team, and as we transition into this game on Saturday, your birthday,
Yes,
um,
sir.
I don't see. I mean, obviously, any given Sunday, right?
Any given
But
Sunday or
but
Saturday.
yeah, or Saturday. But we are looking good, and I don't see after watching that Thursday night game against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos are talented. They're very well coached.
Mm-hmm.
However, they don't scare me.
Not at all.
They're one of those teams that can beat you if you do
Mm-hmm.
not come to play. Like you can't
Mm-hmm.
lay down against them. You can't have mental lapses. They will beat you,
For
but they don't
sure.
scare me. Like and they don't. You punch them in the mouth once or twice, and I think we can
Yeah.
go ahead and have a good shot. They don't. The run game doesn't scare me. Javonte Williams hasn't really done too much. McLaughlin, they're a good little tandem, but they're not really much to me as far as like putting fear. As Mike Lombardi, man, shout out to the new GM of the North Carolina Tar Heels football team. As he
Yes,
would always say
sir.
on his on his podcast, you're not driving to the stadium asking yourself how I'm gonna stop Javonte Williams today.
Not at
Like, you're just
all.
not. Like you're not doing that. Cortland Sutton, him and Bo Nix have a good rapport.
Mm-hmm.
Really liking what I'm seeing from a leadership aspect from Bo, just what it looks like his team is buying into him, but he's not there yet. He's not somebody, like I said, that strikes fear. The defense has been struggling. They've been the most impressive unit for
Yep.
this team all season.
Yep.
Very curious to see what kind of method or approach they're going to have facing Jamar, T, and Burrow, because are you going to put Surtain on Chase, or are you going to put him on T and double Chase? Like, I wonder, because another thing we have to talk about in this league, a lot of pride comes into the picture. So not only are
Mm-hmm.
both teams battling for a playoff spot, but you also have the pride of not letting someone get a triple crown, which is that's what they're going to do to Jamar. You're going to
Yep.
have the pride of whoever's going to be playing the Eagles next 2 weeks. They're going to try to be prideful and not let Saquon break this record, the
Yep.
rushing record. So that's
Yep.
just kind of what goes into it. So it's a lot more than what's on paper. I'm just more so curious. How do you think they're going to approach that? What do you think that? How do you think they're going to approach Surtain? Not that any of it matters, in my opinion, because I think we're just
Yeah,
locked in.
I really don't. That's the thing about Vance Joseph and Sean Payton. I really don't know. I really don't know what they're gonna deploy as far as trying to attack them, because you know Jamar can beat you by himself, T can beat you by himself. So, I truly don't know. Yoshi, I don't know if you saw Yoshi's post he played, forgot about Dre on the post he made from the game. He had a couple big plays this past game. So,
He did.
you know,
We
it,
definitely.
it, it that's a guy that you can't sleep on, even though he has been a little quiet. But like I said, he did have a couple big. I think he had 3 catches for like 53 yards. I want to say I think
Mm-hmm.
2 of them went for first down. So
Other one went for a tub.
yeah. So um, Gesicki had a quiet game. So if they focus on Jamar and T too much, it could come back to hurt them. Chase Brown has been a weapon in the passing game as of late as well. So um,
And Chase Brown is. I'm glad you said that. Chase Brown is going to be the catalyst to this game, in my opinion.
yeah.
Because if we can get Chase Brown going, they can't do what they want to do with the receivers. They can only do
Mm-hmm.
that if the run game isn't effective. And
Now,
I think that we have to go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Denver's D line is tough. They do lead the league in sacks, so it is gonna be as important. I know they say it every week, it seems like, but it's gonna be really important to get a fast start so Denver can't pin their ears back and get after Joe. Hopefully Mims is ready to go. Hopefully we get Orlando Brown Jr. back. So it's gonna be interesting there. I think it'll definitely have a lot to do with how the game plays out. So.
Yeah, no question about that. It does help that we're going to be at home. I expect the Jungle to be rocking on Saturday. Not only
Rocking.
is it the Saturday after Christmas, final home game of the year, but the
Yep.
weather, I mentioned it last week, it's supposed to be in the 50s.
Yes, sir.
We
Maybe
already
light
mentioned it.
rain, but
Maybe some light rain, but we already mentioned it's Philly's birthday.
absolutely.
Um,
God's favorite. That's why we got the weather.
yeah, man, it's gonna be a good one. I'm looking forward to it, and I just really don't see. Yeah, they're good. Yeah, they've been taking care of business, but it's funny they had the stat. They are 1-5 maybe 1-6 now. They're 1-6 right now because after that Chargers game, both the Chargers and last Thursday, both the Chargers and the Broncos were 1-5 against teams with records better than 500.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew one of them was got to break that. And obviously the Chargers came back on the Broncos and won that game. So now the Chargers are 1-6. Now I know we don't qualify for that, but I'm just saying we should be a team that's over 500. And the whole point of this is Denver's not at that level yet. I think they're overachieving. Actually, I think they're kind of who the Cowboys were last year. Well, yeah, it's cool. Y'all getting these wins. You might make the playoffs. You're really not that good. You're on the track being there, but you're not there yet. And I think that this could be a real reality for them. And I think if we beat them, I think that kind of takes their season away.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about that is our schedule has been equally as weak. So I think it's going to be a great test and a great measuring stick for both teams. So I'm really looking forward to it. I couldn't be more excited. I told you, all I wanted was this game to matter on my birthday. I think it was like 3 weeks ago when I said it. You wasn't even entertaining it at that time. Might have been 4 weeks ago, but I'm just super, super excited that we're getting 2 games in 1 week at home. It's on my birthday, smack dab in the middle of the day, 4:30. I don't know what more I can ask for other than a big W. So I'm looking forward to it.
And after we get this dub, I've already talked to Phil, man. That Pittsburgh trip is on.
Okay, it's gotta happen.
It's gotta be in the stadium for that Week 18 game. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that's worth mentioning or anything we should be discussing? I know you mentioned some of our key players on the offensive line, hopefully coming back for this game. But all the extra, the fluff, it don't matter in December, man. Like whoever's out there is out there, and that's what it is.
Absolutely.
That's just what it is. And we have to win this game. If we don't win this game, season's over. And I strongly believe this is going to go into Week 18. And I think we get into the playoffs, and I think anything's up from there.
It's up.
It's up from there. So we don't know much, man, as far as what's going on. I think the last time that we played Denver, Phil was at that game in Denver. In 2021, 22?
22, I want to say. It might have been 21.
Around your birthday. It was another December game, right?
Yeah, it was like December 14th-ish, I want to say.
And we got that win?
Got that win. It was a super low scoring game. It was like 13-9 or something like that. It was stressful, but it was a super low scoring game. Yeah.
We'll take it. We'll take it, man. So hopefully the same thing happens. Maybe you are the Broncos kryptonite, man. Maybe we can get another dub. So I'm excited for it. This is the moment that you live for as a fan because now you kind of got me out of the lull. All right, football means something again. I'm emotionally invested. That's the only downside because I will be, you know what, we're now speaking that. But I want the best for this team, and I want us to just win, lose, or draw. I don't care. Or let me say I don't care. I can digest bad things happening a lot better when we don't do it to ourselves. Sometimes teams are just better and you just got to shrug your shoulders and tip your hat. And other times you just stay up at night wondering why this play was called, why this person dropped this, why this person missed this block, why this person missed this tackle, why this person missed that coverage assignment. So as long as it's none of that, I'll be fine either way. But I strongly, for the 5th time, strongly believe we're going to walk out of Paycor and close the doors on the stadium this season. Not close the door on the stadium because we'll be back next year, but close the door for this actual season where there will be no more games hosted at Paycor with a win. And finally, because they owe down, Phil. They owe down on some home wins.
No, seriously.
That's just kind of what it is.
We didn't get a season ticket holder gift this year, so I'll take this.
We definitely didn't get a season ticket holder gift. I don't even know the last time I got an invite to an event. So please, Bengals, if you're not going to do all that, at least give us this win. Keep our playoff hopes alive. And I think this team just likes the pressure.
Yeah.
I think they like it. I think they really enjoy it. So just to recap before we get out of here, Bengals need to win out, which means we need to win this game Saturday against the Broncos, and we also need to win the Week 18 game at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's still playing for things, so it's mathematically not possible for either them or the Ravens to clinch this division. So they will be playing their starters in Week 18. So we know that's going to be a good old-fashioned AFC North game. We also need the Broncos to lose out They obviously lost to the Chargers. That was the first step. We control our destiny if we beat them. And then we talked a little bit about it earlier. Week 18 against the Chiefs. Not 100% sure where that game is. Doesn't really matter. We need the Steelers to beat the Chiefs, so the Chiefs have a reason to actually play in that Week 18 game. And then also we need a loss from the Dolphins. We need a loss from the Colts to end things out. So all of those things are in play. It's possible. Hasn't happened yet, but got faith, man. Have faith.
I'm so interested to see, like, if everything goes according to plan this week, how they stagger the schedule, like how they stagger the games on that Week 18 matchup. You know what I mean? As far as so many implications being involved in so many different games, I'm interested to see how they schedule them or how they televise them. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Now is a good time to root for the Browns, ladies and gentlemen. We got the dub that we wanted against them. Now we want them to go ahead and beat Miami.
That would
That
be
game
big time.
Now listen, here's why I feel good. Right, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but here's why it makes me feel good. We all know about Tua in the snow, not the snow necessarily, but the cold weather. Right, we know about Tua in the cold weather. They're playing that game at Cleveland. If you've never been to Cleveland, that game is on the lake. If you've never been to Cleveland in the winter, that hawk is real. It's a real thing, man. It comes out of nowhere, it swoops down, it just gets you. It gets you, man. Yeah, bro, I'm telling you, man, it's rough. So
That's
I would
real.
love to
That's
see.
real.
That's a game I could easily see going the Browns' way, which will help us. And then the Colts play at the Giants.
Oh,
They play at the
this coming
Giants this
week. I'm
week.
sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
They
I'm
end the
thinking
season with
18.
Jacksonville. So
Yeah.
we'll see. They got to play the game.
Giants ain't gonna do us no favors. I ain't even gonna.
We'll see,
I lay that alone.
I think that the writing's on the wall for us, and I think everything's gonna happen that we need to happen. I just have that feeling. Don't ask me why; it's just a gut feeling.
I'm with you.
That's it, man. I think we can keep it short and sweet this episode. It's Christmas Eve. Like I said, Christmas morning by the time you wake up and listen to this. But Phil, you got anything else before we get out of here?
I got nothing. Happy holidays to everyone. Enjoy your family. Enjoyed the games. You know, we got 2 good ones, so enjoy those. Enjoy Beyonce. Enjoy Mariah Carey. Enjoy some eggnog or whatever beverage you like to have during your holidays. Enjoy it all. Whatever you can enjoy it.
Absolutely, man. Well said, Phil. Seriously, man. You all out there, whoever's listening, man, you've done enough this year. You've gone above and beyond. Take some time for yourself, man. Rest. Stop. Catch your breath. Get ready for 2025 strong. Do what you need to. But at least take those small moments and enjoy them with your family, your loved ones, yourself, however you want to spend it. With that being said, we appreciate you spending some of your time listening to us during this part of the year. We will see you next week.
Absolutely.
Discussing the Bengals win against the Broncos and talking about the Week 18 matchup that will take us into Pittsburgh. Until then, happy holidays and Who Dey.
Happy Who Dey.